Well, he bought it around 480,000. Income was about 3,000. That was about 4 years ago.
Right.
And now the income is closer to eight. So that property value is more closer to 1 million.
Correct.
So not only he's doubled his income, but he's doubled his bottom line.
Welcome back. This is the Cornerstone Realty Team podcast.
Yes.
Bay Area Unlocked. And what was unlocked was a loss yesterday. The Cardinals beat us, the 49ers. And we're so upset. It's a heartbreaking loss. I was at the game
Yeah.
with my daughter, Sarah.
Yeah.
And it was tough, Ramis. Leaving the stadium
I'm sure.
was tough. And
Hot.
it was very hot. It was very, very hot. And we were winning the whole game. And they lost it in the fourth quarter. Too many
Yeah.
mistakes. What I like about football is they don't focus on the losses. They focus on the winning, right?
Yes.
The next game. So the next game is
Yes.
this Thursday, Seahawks, right? 5:15. 5:15 p.m. on Thursday. So are you ready for that?
Yes, because I believe that the setback will be the comeback.
There you go.
So I have hope in our Niners.
So in life, if we focus on the failures, we can go down a spiral.
Right.
If we focus on the successes, that'll lift us up.
Right.
So I think it's good to focus on the next game and focus on the win and just get the loss out of our system, right?
Right.
So that's where we're at. We're going to win this Thursday. We're going to send those birds home
Yes.
crying, and we're going to be the victors on Thursday.
We're gonna be the number one our division.
But Sunday, what are we going to do?
Sunday we'll just have to work, do open house.
Open house.
Yep.
That's right. So today we're going to talk about investments and investment property.
Right.
What is a good investment property? What does that look like to you? Like what factors do you look at? Is a single family good? Is a fourplex, 10-unit good? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I'm not in favor of single family as an investment property, and the reason is because it's just one door or one income. I always like multiple. I like at least a 4-unit or more. And the way I look at investment property is the way I would identify a good purchase would be something that is mismanaged, something that is it needs a little care, it needs upgrading, something that you can put some sweat equity in as a buyer. Because look at it, if you buy an investment property that's completely redone, there's not much room for you to grow, and you're paying at the top. But if you buy something that needs work, maybe new windows, maybe new paint, maybe some of the units need to be, updated the kitchen. And as you update and spend money on it, you can get a higher rent and get a better quality of renter because you have upgraded the property. So I identify these things, and that makes my decision in buying a certain property. There's got to be room for me to improve it.
So if you were going to buy a 4-unit, how long would you plan to hold it for?
Well, I always say you got to give the property 5 years. Why? Because it's hard to turn something around with less than 5 years. You can do it in 2. But I think if you get in and begin to work at improving the property, giving the renter a better quality of property, and upgrading some of the renters that are in there, maybe they don't want to be there and they want to stay in a cheaper rent and maybe not as upgraded. So it takes about 5 years to do the turnaround on any property.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think that if you're looking at a single family for investment, you're looking for appreciation only.
Right.
You're not going to make money on the monthly income. There's really no money unless you put the whole thing, you buy the whole thing cash, or you have a super, super low interest rate.
Right.
Where you can make a little bit of money, but overall, you won't make money. You might break even or even lose
Right.
a little bit.
Right.
But you're banking on the appreciation,
Right.
not the monthly income. So if you invest $500,000 on a $1.5 million property, you're really not going to get a return on that $500,000. But you take the same $500,000 and you go buy a property for $1 million, 4 units, you should have a couple $1,000 return.
Right.
So, and tell me, so they use the cap rate, correct?
The cap rate,
Okay.
that's what they use.
So-
And I usually like to see between 5 and 6 cap rate. What's the definition of a cap rate?
Cap rate is a metric used to estimate the value of the property on the return side. So we use that number. If you get a 5% cap rate right now, starting out, that's really good, and you should be able to increase that over the next 5 years, maybe to 8-9%.
Right.
It just depends on how much vacancy you have. If you're good at increasing rents, we always recommend increasing every year the maximum you can. You have to check the city rent control, and the state does have a rent control,
Right.
which is 5% plus the Consumer Price Index, CPI. This past year, it was 8.8%. The year before, it was 9.2%.
Right.
So you have to ask and find out what is the CPI, and you can add that to the 5%.
Right.
Now, if there is a city rent control, you have to go by the cities.
You have to go by the city. There's layers, right?
There is layers. So how do we identify a good investment? When you're looking for your clients,
Right.
what are you looking for?
Well, first I look for a decent area, right? We're not going to look for the slum areas. We're looking for a decent area, and we're identifying a property that needs better management and some improvement. That's what I look for.
So it needs some TLC, in
TLC,
terms of
right.
the physical aspects of the
Right.
property inside, and also the income is not perfect, because if the income was
Right.
perfect,
Right.
they'd be asking for top dollar.
Right.
Right. So take like a fixer upper,
Right.
4 unit or 6 unit, whatever it may be, and then take that and fix it as far as it operating efficiently.
Right.
Okay, and the condition becomes good or average, right?
Yes, and then we do a rent survey too. We find out if that market can handle a higher rent. Because here's the idea too that you want to think about as an owner and a landlord is you want to give people a great place to live. That should be your focus. Yes, we have increases, but they are increases so we can give them a better place to live, a better quality unit or apartment, because people love that. They want a good, clean place to live, and they don't mind paying the rent. So I think we look for something that has that opportunity in it, and the area, of course, has to be able to handle it.
You know, I love. We have a lot of success stories. People buying these investment properties, buying them cheap and turning them into, so much income every month, and increasing the value. So tell me about income and appreciation and monthly income. How does that all fit together?
Yeah, well, when you increase the income of a rental property, you increase the value. And because if you look at single family homes, basically when you want to look at the value, you look at a comparable report in a single family. But when you're looking at multifamily, income has a lot to do with it. That's what causes the property to appreciate and gain value. So not only are you increasing monthly income, but you're increasing value by increasing the monthly income.
So they use both, right? They
Right.
use the comparable sales
And
plus
income approach.
The income approach.
Yes.
Of looking at the monthly income or the yearly
Right.
income, and looking at the value in that aspect.
Right, right.
So if you can get your income higher every year, it's going to skyrocket and raise your value. Is that
Right.
correct?
Exactly.
Okay, so that is a good way to build a retirement, right?
It is, definitely.
In 5 to 10 years, you buy something today, you buy it for 800, 900,000. 5, 6 years, 10 years, it could be 1.5,
Right.
and your income has doubled.
Right. And
we have one client that we
Yeah.
dealt with. They bought a 4 unit in Sacramento, right?
Right.
Tell me about that.
Well, he bought it around 480,000. Income was about 3,000. That was about 4 years ago.
Right.
And now the income is closer to 8. So that property value is more closer to $1 million.
Correct.
So not only he's doubled his income, but he's doubled his bottom line. And one thing that we always recommend to people, after 5 years, look to turn that investment to something bigger.
Right.
Sell it. Instead of 4-unit, try to buy 8-unit and do it over.
So I think if rates were lower, probably he could have turned that
Right.
into an 8-unit.
Right.
Right. But rates right now a little higher, so you got to be careful on your moves.
Right.
Right.
But here's the good news. Rates are coming down,
Right.
which could be signaling a real push into that market. The more the rates come down, people come out and they want to invest because the cost of borrowing is cheaper and your bottom line is much healthier and
Yeah.
much better.
I think if you buy now, right, you could be just ahead of everyone else. You get in the door, you pay a little higher interest rate for now, and when rates come down, you refinance.
Right.
And you're not making higher offers for the properties.
Right.
So I think it's really good right now if you're a step ahead of all the buyers.
Right.
Once everyone makes multiple offers, you're a little late.
Right. Well,
You could still make a good decision.
yeah.
But why not be before? Like pre-IPO,
Right.
you know, it's not the IPO, it's right before the
Right
IPO.
before.
So you can get in before.
Right. And then like we advise people on buying, a home. We say to them, marry the house, date the rate.
Right.
We give the same advice to investment property.
Right.
Marry the property, date the rate. Once you get in, you can always refinance and bring your payments down.
Yeah, I want to go back real quick before we finish up this podcast. So there's a gross income of the property, right? And then you take all the expenses off of the gross income and you have a net income.
Right.
Right? And the net income is what you divide, right?
Right.
The property value or whatever you're buying it at.
Right.
And that's the cap rate.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's how practically you get to it.
Right. So if you're not seeing a 5% or close to 5% at the start,
Yes.
you're paying too much right now.
Right.
Because interest rates are way too high to get lower than that.
Right.
So that's where you should focus. If I'm going to buy something today, I'm just going to start at 5% or higher. I'm
Right.
not looking for anything
5 is your
lower.
bottom.
So that's how you know if the area is decent and
Yes.
you're getting 5 or more,
Right.
then that's a good deal.
And then you got to look at a property that has the potential to go somewhere.
Right.
You don't buy something that has tapped rent-wise
Right.
or it's fully redone.
Where is it going to go?
You
we don't
want
know.
something to go higher.
Right.
You want something with a potential that you can actually put some sweat equity in to gain more income and value.
All right. Well, thank you, Ramez.
Yes, thank
Thank you for listening to the Cornerstone Realtor team, and look ahead to next week as we'll have another podcast. Go Niners!
Go Niners.